So for one of my first videos that I wanted to do my story with probably one of my favorite rifles, if not my favorite rifle out there, the FN FAL. Well, actually, this is a British L1A1 parts kit built on a Springfield SAR metric receiver. Basically, so my story with this is, we're gonna have to go back a little bit, but in 2018, I had basically my first gun was a 16-inch AR-15 from Palmetto State Armory. I did not know much about AR-15s at the time. I bought it right after I graduated college. I had a little bit of money. And I had never owned a weapon before. My family's not into hunting or anything like that. They are not, they honestly, they hate guns. I guess you can think for yourself what side of the political spectrum they're on. But yes, so basically I had my 16-inch AR-15. I bought a 10.5-inch AR-15, and I actually sold the 16-inch AR-15 to somebody else. And then after that, I shortly bought a Glock 19, and then so I had both of those for about a year, give or take. I actually ended up having to move home after college, which a lot of people do, unfortunately. But in my mind, so I had my 10.5-inch AR-15 for mid-range, and then I had my, Glock 19 for short range. So I wanted something with longer range, i.e. something in 308. And my thought at the time was, I didn't realize, that a 16-inch AR-15 can shoot out to 500 yards. It's very possible. I've done it multiple times with different examples of 16-inch, even 14.5-inch. I've even made some hits out to 500 with an 11.5-inch AR-15 using 77 grain match grade ammunition. But at the time, I didn't know any better, so I wanted an FAL. I honestly thought this was like a sniper rifle. I didn't realize that this was a 2 to 4 MOA gun. I thought that this would be like a 1 MOA or something like that. So basically my thought process with it was, I did not want to be the guy that had 10 different AR-15s, which, plot twist, now I own 7 different AR-15s, but I also own, I think, 8 or 9 different other type of guns between AKs. As you can see in the background, FAL type. I have a PTR 32, which is 7.62x39 roller delayed blowback gun, basically a big version of an MP5 and 7.62x39. I've got a kind of a variety now, but at the time, I only had my 10.5-inch AR and my Glock 19, so I wanted something for long range. And so for a long time, I was between like I said, I did not want to get AR-10. AR-10 probably would have been the best choice for long range shooting, because those you can probably get about 1 MOA, 2 MOA. This is probably a 2 to 4 MOA gun, depending on what kind of ammunition you use with it. But so I was like, I don't want to own a bunch of AR-15s if I'm gonna, only own 3 guns. So this was my 3rd gun that I had, or I guess really my 4th gun that I bought, but my 3rd gun that I was going to own at that time. And so, of course, I X'd out the AR-10, so the only logical choices were the FAL or the G3. So I just went back and forth for a long time between if I wanted to do FAL, G3, FAL, G3. And essentially it came down to the look of it. In my opinion, this gun is one of the nicest looking, sexiest looking guns out there. It's really between this and the Israeli Galil. I actually currently have 2 Galils. They're ATI kit builds in my possession, but this is also a kit build on a Brazilian Springfield SAR 4800 receiver. I don't know if you'll be able to see that correctly or not, but I can upload pictures in this later. But yeah, so essentially, and this is an L1A1 kit on a Springfield SAR metric 4800 receiver. So basically went back and forth with it. I was actually talking to a guy at the physical therapy place that I worked at the time. He had a lot of experience with different weapons and things like that. He had a big gun collection. Me and him would talk, he would come in every other day, so we'd talk a whole lot about different things or whatever we wanted to do. And so basically at the time, they had a lot of set-me Sentry Arm builds around that you could buy. This was in this was early 2019, maybe like mid 2019, but they had a lot of set-me Sentry Arms builds, and you could get a DSA FAL. But what I did was, when I finally decided I said I'm gonna get a FAL, mainly because of aesthetics. Just look at this thing, you really can't, it's hard to beat. But anyway, so I decided to get the FAL. What I did was I put out a want to buy ad on this website called Outdoor Trader. And so I put out that ad, and I actually got several follow-ups. I think one person offered to sell me a full inbull kit on an inbull receiver. It was black. I'll see if I can post some pictures up above of that. And then the gentleman who sold me this, he had a few other examples. He had a ton of other guns too for sale. I really wish I had a bunch of money back then. I would have bought all the guns I could have from him. I'll see if I can find those pictures and link those above as well, just to show y'all some examples, because he had like AR-180s, bunch of crazy AKs, you know, imports, obviously things like that. But he sent me several offers. I think he had an Israeli FAL. He had a black one. I forgot what the black one was, probably an inbull kit build. And then he had this one, and he told me it was a Springfield SAR 4800, which is fair because that's what the receiver says, but in actuality, he really did not know what he had at the time. But I saw the wood handguard on this. I love, you know, wood on these weapons, or I love wood on weapons in general. I just think it looks so amazing. So I saw the wood handguard, looked at it, you know, I did my research on the Springfield SAR 4800, and I basically decided to go with this gun. This was what I wanted, or out of all the ones. I wish that I could have bought multiple of them. I wish that I could have bought the Israeli heavy barrel that he was offering. I wish that I could have bought the black inbull kit build on the inbull receiver that somebody else offered me. But at the time, I couldn't afford it. I was fresh out of college. I was still living with my parents, and you know, all these were basically $1,000 plus. But so I messaged the guy, said I'll take this one, the Springfield SAR 4800. Because, I mean, if you know anything about a real Springfield SAR 4800 is that they are a pristine factory built in Brazil in the FN licensed factory that makes military FALs in Brazil. And that's what I thought this was, with just British furniture on it, because I knew what an L1A1 was. I thought they just slapped, you know, British furniture and this British flash hider up here on it. But then once I got it in my hands and I actually paid for it, I started looking at it more. I looked at the markings. We've got a UE, which is actually the infield factory marking down here, and then another marking right there by the selector, these two. And then you got another, a UB, which is Birmingham. So I mean, this is not a matching kit, unfortunately. I wish that it was, but it's not. But basically, I got it, you know, paid the guy. Me and him met in a Home Depot parking lot. Paid him $1,200 for this bad boy with, I think, 5 or 6 mags came with it. And it was great. I was super happy with it. Obviously, did not have this rail dust cover. I bought that after to add a scope to it. And eventually, I took the scope off because I was like, you know, we like to flip up iron sights. Also on this thing, I've got a little zip tie there. Sorry, forgot my words. But the zip tie there, because this sight was actually bouncing forward to go into the, I forgot what yard position this is, but it was going all the way up, which is the highest yardage, I think like 400 or 500 yard sight. So I basically brought it back here because this is, I think, the 100 or 200 yard sight. Back here, it's the lowest setting. You guys in the comments can correct me if I'm wrong. But so I zip tied that there to basically, because I'm like, I'm not going to be shooting, you know, 500-600 yards with iron sights with this thing. You know, I can leave it at that little setting right there. You know, I don't need to mess with that. I do love the flip up and down iron sight of the L1A1 that they have. That is very nice. I guess because the British originally intended to use it with a suit ACOG style sight, or I'm sure it's not correct at all, but they intended to use it with a suit sight. So I guess the flip up and down rear aperture was necessary for them. But basically, I got this in my hand. I actually had to take it to my buddy's house because my parents, I was living with them at the time. They hate guns. They don't like guns at all. I still kept my Glock 19 on me with them, you know, hidden away. But I was keeping my 10.5 inch AR-15 at a buddy's house that lived about 30-45 minutes from me. So then I brought this to him too, and he had a farm that we would go shoot at, you know, whenever we could get out, you know, once a month or whenever we could get out to the farm, give or take. But so I had this, but basically I got to my buddy's house, put a mag in it. I pulled back the charging handle, and it was not locking back on an empty mag. And I was like, oh man, what the heck? And so I started looking into it, but actually apparently the Brits disabled the last round bolt hold open on these bad boys, so to prevent getting sand in there, because I guess they were in a lot of sandy environments when they were chose this rifle to be their rifle. And you can also see the sand cut bolt carrier group there, just to get more sand out of there. But yeah, so they were really paranoid about the sand. So their thought process is that if it locks open on the last round, you can get a bunch of sand into action, you know, and then that's no good. So they, yeah, I'm missing 2 screws here. I don't think it's affected the zero, but yeah, anyway. But yeah, so, and actually this is an Israeli charging handle on the side here, but I think it's probably a lot more comfortable than the folding one from what I've heard. I don't know if who built that out of a, put that on there out of necessity, or if they put that on there because they thought it was more comfortable than the folding one. I don't plan to change it. Eventually my goal is to get a full factory built FN FAL. I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon, but it is a long-term goal of mine to get a military factory built FN FAL. Maybe not FN, it could be an MBOL, or it could be from another country like Argentina, or yeah, any other country, but that's just what it is. But yeah, no, I love this thing. It's pretty accurate. When I got it, me and my buddy shot it at his farm, and it was pretty accurate. I didn't zero it at the farm. We just kind of shot at targets and stuff. But I have hit targets pretty far out with this thing with the iron sights, and I have had a scope on here and zeroed the scope and been able to hit targets pretty far out. The trigger pull is not great on it. That's the main issue with them. It's got a heavy trigger pull, and to install a new trigger on one of these, it's very expensive. So I mean, I don't plan to mess with it too much, but this is definitely one of my favorite weapons in my collection. I just wanted to speak about it first, just so yeah, everybody knows that this is my FN FAL. It is, I mean, I love it personally. I mean, comment down below if you're team FAL, team G3, team AR10. I mean, AR10 to me is the most logical choice. Currently they have the Century builds on Palmetto State Armory. They have Century build G3 using Portuguese parts kits, and that kind of keeps calling me. I think they're about $650 right now, but after I did the math and everything, it's close to $800 with all the taxes and fees to get it to me. So I mean, I'm kind of passing on it now. If they go down to $600, I may hop on it, but I really would like to have a real G3 with, not a real G3, but a kit build G3 with my FAL, so I can, you know, because I like to be on team FAL or team G3, and I can speak a little bit about both, which I know that, you know, a Century build is not going to be great or a great example. I know this is a kit build, but I mean, I do think this is a great kit build. Personally, I don't really have a lot of experience with FN FALs or L1A1s, but it's not a Century kit build. Obviously, it's built by somebody that knew what they're doing, because I don't think I've ever had a failure with this thing. That wasn't my fault. I did have some issues with it when one time I took it out to clean it. I did not install the gas plug properly in there. Gas plug's supposed to be set right there, and that line up there is supposed to be like that. I think I had it reversed, so it's basically on the grenade firing setting. I was shooting it at an indoor range, and yeah, it just was not working. I was just so upset. I was like, oh man, this thing's broken. And then I got home, pulled it apart, and started looking into it, doing my research, of course, Googling and checking forums. Of course, I had the gas plug installed incorrectly. Installed the gas plug correctly, worked great. So I really have not had any issues with this thing. I don't shoot it as often as I like to, because 308 is very expensive. I mainly shoot 5.56 and 9mm, obviously, like most American shooters. If you do shooting competitions or anything like that, you're probably shooting 5.56 or 9mm, or I don't know, I guess you could shoot 7.62x39. You're probably not shooting 5.45. If you're shooting 308 a lot, you may be reloading it, or you're just a beast financially. But yeah, that's basically my story with my British L1A1 parts kit on a Springfield SAR 4800 receiver. I actually did see this exact gun on a forum one time too. I'll try to find that and link that in the bio, but basically people were calling it a Franken kit build, because I saw that, you know, whoever posted it, I think it was on Outdoor Trader, and somebody posted on a forum, and they referenced all the same, it had all the same serial numbers obviously that this one has, and everybody was like, oh no, stay away from that thing, it's, you know, it's probably trash. I actually think I found it years later after owning this for a couple of years, and I was like, oh, that's funny that you know, somebody said that about my rifle, that it's a Franken kit build, and it is a Franken build, you know, but it is a good Franken build. Unfortunately, I really wish it was a real Springfield SAR in British furniture, but it's not. It just is what it is. For the price point I paid for it, for 1,200 bucks, you're not gonna really beat that. I mean, basically nowadays, I mean, I bet this thing has gone way up in value. I mean, I could probably turn around and sell this for $1,500, $1,600. I don't know. I don't really plan on ever selling it. But yeah, we've got the updated charging handle on here, wood stock, wood pistol grip, enlarged thumb safety right there. And actually on this, you have to click it into the that semi position there, because if you flip it into the full auto position, which British ones did not actually have a full auto position, it just goes straight back to safe. Because I've had some buddies or something like that, which that's not a great feature about it. I probably should do something to stop that right there, but I don't really care. I'm shooting this, you know, 90% of the time I shoot it. I just tell people to make sure that it clicks positively into the semi-automatic mode when they shoot it, when they pull the trigger. But yeah, like I said, yeah, it's just a great little rifle. I mean, it's not a great little rifle, it's a great big rifle, and I really do enjoy it. I think that this personally, the FAL or L1A1 is one of the nicest looking rifles out there. I don't see myself getting rid of this thing anytime soon. If you have a FAL, please let me know your experience down below, or an L1A1. I think they're great weapons. There's not a whole lot of people still using them today, because I guess 308 or 7.62x51 is very expensive. But I know that Brazil still uses a lot of them. You still see a lot of these in African conflicts as well, Middle East, things like that, because I mean, they're just tanks, they hold up. And basically, I mean, in my opinion, this is like the Western version of an AK, because over 90 NATO countries adopted, you know, the FAL, and it is pretty much the Western version of the AK, because there's so many different, every Western country has like little tweaks and things that they did to it. I mean, they're all generally the same platform, but obviously this is the British version for the most part. You have the Israeli version, you know, you have the South African version, all the other, I mean, there's Argentina, Brazil, a lot of other countries have versions of the FAL. And just like the AK, you know, they basically sold it, the license to make them, to all these other little countries, or not little countries, but countries out there. And yeah, that's pretty much it though. But in my opinion, yeah, Western AK, it use a short stroke gas piston system. So basically you shoot the bullet goes out the chamber, the gas comes out up here. It's got an adjustable gas regulator. This being a British one, it's actually got 11 positions on here. I think, I want to say a regular one has 7 or 8 positions. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, basically the gas comes out here, hits the piston taps the bolt comes back. There's a spring in the stock right here, and then it goes from there. But yeah, I mean, this is just one of my favorite rifles. I just want to share it with everybody that I think they're great. I love shooting it. I wish I could shoot it more, but like I said, it's 308 is expensive, or 7.62x51 is expensive. So yeah, but thank you so much for tuning in. God bless. Have a great day.